of this material being taught by any teacher to our students, would you vote to 1, allow its teachings, or 2, forbid its teachings? And what steps would you ask the board to take if you did not want our students taught these concepts? Let's start with Jeff.
Critical race theory it's very complex. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not an expert on it. And the research that I've done, it's probably not enough. I'll be the first to admit that. But it's still my understanding that the critical race theory is still a theory. I feel it should be taught at possibly a college level graduate program, but I don't think it's meant for high school or middle school. That being said, I believe all theories start out as theories. They need to be researched, examined for truths, tested for weaknesses, and stand the test of time for factual results. Do I believe there are inequalities in this world? Absolutely. Do I think there are merit to some of the information that I read? I do. I truly do. Can some of the aspects of this theory be considered non-factual? Again, in my research that I did, it appears that that could be true as well. So to answer your questions, number 1, would I allow the teachings of critical race theory? At this point in time, I would not. And the reason being is because the Minnesota Department of Education does not approve that curriculum. That's the answer. The next question is, what would I do for the instructor or the teacher who is teaching those things outside of the approved curriculum? As a board member, our position is to take that up with the superintendent. So as a board, we would have that conversation with the superintendent. The superintendent would then reach out to the teacher, basically express our concerns, and make note that that particular theory is not approved curriculum within the state of Minnesota or the Alexandria Public Schools. I would imagine that that teacher would accept those suggestions and not continue.
Thank you, Jeff. Maureen?
I attended the Raise Our Standards event that recently came to talk about critical race theory, and I thought it was very enlightening, especially to see Kendall speaking as a black man who grew up in a very impoverished, lacking home in Harlem and in a trailer park, but him saying, I had a free opportunity to grow up and make something of myself. And that's where I have the big concern with CRT. I am against it because I don't believe that it supports us to look at the character of a person and let them really accomplish what they're created to be, because it's creating more division and a feeling of oppression. And when we have self-pity, it's a real hindrance from where we get to go in life. So I think it's not the answer. I realize that we need reconciliation and people feeling unheard, still feeling offended, and we do have problems. But I think that's not the answer because we need all people to be able to rise up and be strong in who they are and have a fair chance regardless of their race. And so putting such a spotlight on the color of your skin, I think, is a damaging response. So I guess number 2, Jeff explained that there's a process in the school board if there were to be something being taught that isn't appropriate or that you have a problem with. So, but I would definitely be willing to speak up and say I don't think this is right because I don't think it's in the best interest of our children, regardless of the race of their skin.
Thank you, Maureen. Jeremy?
Unfortunately, I think it's already part of our school already. There's already words in our current curriculum, like equity and systematic, that's pulled directly from the CRT. So I had this coworker that I was talking with at one point in time. We had a lot of really good discussions and debates about current prominent topics happening in our country today, and the topic of racism came up. He stated, and I quote, "Racism cannot be against white people." So I pointed out that racism is prejudice against someone or a group of people based on the color of their skin. That's what I've always defined it as, and I thought that was still true. Unfortunately, we looked it up. The Google definition is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against a person or people on the basis of their membership in particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. This last part, that was new to me. I'd never seen that before. So I decided to look back and so that definition has changed. So in 2020, the definition was specifically a belief that race is a primary determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. So, in other words, the indoctrination has begun a long time ago, right under our noses. The definition has already changed, and we need to do something about it. No, I would not vote to keep CRT education in our schools. Parents that oppose CRT can see the writing on the wall and where that would lead. This is a dangerous path and direction. It is completely contradictory to the teachings of Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character." CRT teaches children to judge those as oppressors and the oppressed simply by the color of their skin. This is wrong. Other side effects of this will be pitting children against their parents and their family values. Teachers should not come between the families. The best way to fight this is as a community. Parents all over the country are opposing this teaching for a reason. Teachers, unions, and departments of education need to take note. We will not tolerate teaching hate to our children. If I'm the lone voice on the board who opposes these teachings, we as a community have a lot of work to do. And I will help rally the parents, and we will run against every incumbent school board member that supports this until they're all gone. So there's a petition that's going around the country, and it's asking for teachers to sign that they will still continue to teach CRT, even if it's banned by the state legislature or is not part of the handed-down curriculum. There's already 80 teachers in Minnesota who have signed this petition, including one teacher right here in Alexandria. Do we really want to teach the children that what matters most in life are the things that cannot change? I don't, and as long as I am able, I will fight against this type of thinking.
Thank you, Jeremy. Question number 5. What are the areas you'd like to see improved in District 206?